Hey everyone, hope this is coming through okay. Had to kind of reset up my personal streaming setup here. So I see a few people are hopping in here, so if everything's looking good, just give me a thumbs up or whatnot. And welcome. Yeah, I have a laser on the bench and thought, why not go live? Try to build on stream because what can go wrong with building something live with everybody watching you? But we've done it before. It's kind of fun. Thought I would try that tonight. Maybe answer a few questions. So anyway, we'll wait and see if a few more people want to hop in here. Otherwise, if you have some questions early on about anything, go ahead and hit me up or let me know what's going on. See, we got Robert here. Love my 40 SSG Edge. Going to trip me up with some of these names, but anyway, yeah. Hope everybody's been having a good week here. Midweek, Wednesday, hump day. Um, some of us had a short week because we had a holiday on Monday. I got a few things done. Hopefully, you maybe got a chance to check out my video on the pen caddy. So made these out of both plywood and some acrylic. And if you missed it, check it out. I do have free files in the video as well. So if you want to try that out, definitely check that out. But anyway, Samuel, hey, how's it going? Good to see you here as well. But yeah, so the laser we're going to be looking at tonight is from Acmer, and I know both Clack and I have checked out some of their earlier ones, the P1 Pro and the P2, which is a 33 watt. This one is called the P1S Pro, and it's actually just a 6 watt laser, but it's I think it comes in at about $220 on their website. So we'll be curious to see how this, as kind of an entry level, low cost laser, might work. So I'm going to try to build it today. And if we get a chance, if everything looks good, maybe we'll add it into Lightroom and run some tests. But we'll definitely at least get it assembled and get first impressions. And then, of course, I will be following it up with more overall video of doing some testing and seeing what all it can do. So, Jonathan from Austin, hey. Samuel from Pennsylvania. Yeah, cold there. It's actually warm here. It was hit at least 50 here, and it's going to cool off tomorrow, but they're even saying 60 some on Monday. So it's kind of crazy for February. I'm trying not to get too used to it because March is our snowiest month, and it could just come and hit us like a brick wall. But I'm enjoying at least the respite from cold winters for a little bit here. But yeah. So I do have, I've got this camera here. I got my workbench back here. I do have an overhead camera on that hopefully we'll be able to use so you kind of see the build. I don't really have anything necessarily set up for close up, but we'll kind of play it by ear. But yeah, so anyway, good to see everyone here. And I'm going to try to monitor. I've got the chat up on my iPad as well. So if you got some questions or comments, go ahead and throw them in there. I'll try to keep an eye on that as I'm building the laser, and we'll see how this goes. Always trying to tweak the technology in our shops to be able to do kind of some of this interactive stuff as well. But anyway, let's jump over to the workbench, and we'll start cracking into the box. So here we go. Here's the box that it came in. Shipped in this. It's really not too big. And I believe this is pretty much just your basic laser. I don't think there's an air assist and whatnot with it. But let's go ahead and crack this open. And you're getting my first impression as well because I have not opened this up at all since it arrived. This is still all the shipping tape. So if there's any issues with it, you'll get to see it just as I do. But generally, that's not the case. All right. Well, got a couple of pieces of, looks like maybe 1.5 millimeter plywood samples, and we have a manual here to walk us through it. Seems pretty decent. It's not as small as some. Looks like it's got decent photos. And then here's the obligatory foam. That is so fun to get rid of, but as typical with most of these lasers, they're packed pretty well, compartmentalized, pocked out with this Kaizen type foam. Looks like we have our parts, and one of my favorite things is they've labeled the bags here with the steps. That always makes it a little bit easier trying to find the right hardware. So that's nice to see. Put that off to the side. Of course, we have, you know, their version of safety glasses. Of course, if you've watched any of my others before, if they don't put an actual rating on here of, you know, the wavelength and optical density, they're better than nothing, but I prefer to use actual rated glasses. And so I like the free mask out ones. They're about $40 online, and I'll try to drop a link for that down later. So let's see, we do have a set of tools here. Again, that's labeled pretty well. It's got a micro SD card. Looks like this is maybe our focus tool in there. We got some zip ties, some Allen wrenches, and the open-ended wrench for adjusting the wheels. Pretty typical. Got our, you know, USB-A to a standard USB cable and a standard US power cable. What else we got here? We got the power brick. This is a 12 volt, 1.6 amp output. So pretty standard there. Other miscellaneous parts, looks like our mount for the laser module. This looks to be a control box. It's got the Wi-Fi adapter on it, a small switch. And then on this side, we've got your, looks like a micro HDMI, your micro SD card, USB, and power. Those are on the right side. This is upright, so it's nice that they're off to the side. I don't like when the cables are sticking down on the top. But got that. And your typical 20 by 20 extrusion. This one is marked with your, you know, metric measurements. This one just has some decorative print on it. And we got two more, one with the logo and one with the print. So to sort out which direction those all go, here's our actual laser module. Pop this open. So it's very small compared to what I'm used to these days with some of the larger ones, but magnetic removable shroud on the bottom. I don't see that there's a replaceable cover lens per se, so that might be a thing to watch out for. And yeah, no air assist other than the passive stuff from the fans moving down through here. We do have our power plug, which is kind of, there's this aluminum shroud around the top of the module there that hopefully you can see. So a little bit of protection there, but I'm also concerned how those wires might rub in there. But set that to the side. We have our connecting rod for the two side rails and a random piece of plastic that I'm not sure what it's for, so we better hold on to that. It's always good to dig into these pockets. You never know what's missing or hiding. We got 3 feet with rubberized bottoms on them, so it's kind of nice so it won't slide around too much. One loose stepper motor, labeled from Acmer, 42 SHDC, yeah, your typical NEMA 13 style. And then we've got our laser gantry. It's got the belt pre-installed, pre-tightened. We have 4 wheels, top and bottom, instead of 3, so that's interesting to see. We do have limit switches, and they are protected by a little bit of tape anyway, so that's kind of nice to see, because every once in a while in shipping you pull it out and that foam catches that tab, and that renders that limit switch a little bit difficult to use. But there are eccentric nuts on the bottom side, so this is where you would adjust to bring these in or out, and that's just going to snug it up on the rail. So we'll look at that. But overall, you know, it looks pretty decent quality. The wheels aren't so tight that I'm not feeling any divots in the rail. That's kind of nice. Sometimes they tighten these down a lot, and then you end up with flat spots in them that need to work out. So nice to see that's not the case here. So, like I said, take a look through the box. Make sure there's nothing hiding, no screws have fallen out. And then hang on to that before you toss it, because you might get through the build and be missing something. All right, so that's kind of the basic unboxing. Just check in chat here. Yeah, unique color. Yeah, it's kind of this golden, I don't know. It's a definitely a different color, but we'll see here. So I'm going to get the rest of these out of their packaging here. Just get everything set up. I try to be a little organized with my builds, get everything where I can kind of see it and not hunt for it too much, but you know, everybody does it a little bit different. Some people don't want to pull things out till they need them. So this belt is attached. They've got one side already mounted and plugged in there, which is good. Wondering if these seem like they're on the bottom, so we'll have to see how the stepper motors and everything go. So that's a side rail. Here's another side rail that also has a belt on it, so that's good. And it's nice that they're on here. When they come curled up or folded, sometimes you get these kinks in them, and that can be a little annoying to get out as well. But overall, pretty decent packaging. Kind of what I've come to expect from most of the major players and secondary ones. So, like I said, I'm going to just kind of arrange our parts a little bit. We've got our bolts and screws here by step. So, looks like they've got 4 steps plus some tools. Now, they provide these tools, and they work fine for assembling your laser. But I do like to actually have some of these straight edge ones, and these are from a company called Weha. So these are like a 1.5, 2, 2.5, and 3 millimeter kind of a straight Allen key. I like to have a set of those. Sometimes it's just easier getting into tight spots and not having to deal with the angle, but you know, these obviously help if you need to torque something down as well. But they do provide all the tools you need for them to build this. Seem to give plenty of zip ties, which I assume is going to be for some cable management. Got a micro SD card here and then a USB reader as well. And then our little aluminum focus tool, which that's one of my gripes is when you have something like this that can be easily misplaced or roll off your bench. It's just nice when the focus tool is on the actual module itself, but you can make your own or make a holder for, you know, said device. Flip that back around. So, how are we all doing? Doing all right? Good. All right, so let's take a quick look at the book, see what our first step is going to be. They say it takes about 25 minutes to assemble this. I'm not going to say that I can do any of that while also trying to manage a live stream, but we'll see how well this goes. And doesn't look like it's going to be too involved compared to the others. So step 1 is just prepare the following components, front left profiles, motherboard socket. So I'm going to set this to the side. We're going to try to figure out which orientation these all go in. You know, these are the sides. This is the front. Okay, so the Acmer part actually goes on the front panel. So we've got this here. This is going to be the back, so I'm assuming that decoration type goes there. And it looks like this end stop piece goes on the left side this way with the belts underneath. And then this would be the opposite. And so I'm going to assume it goes this way. So we'll just kind of lay these out in their orientation. And we're also going to need some of the feet. Start by attaching the right profile to the corner bracket, the left profile to the motherboard socket. All right. So that would be the right profile to one of these, it looks like. Yeah, those have screws that line up, and we need our step 1 screws. All right. Hey, Dave, you like the color too? Yeah. And yeah, X-Tool has been stepping up their game with some of their tools as well. They give you some nice handled, you know, reversible tools and such. But you you know, this is your kind of typical pack of tools that you'll see with these kind of angled wrenches and then a simple one. So let's see here. We've got 2 different screws, and that needs to go that way. M8 or M5 by 8 and M5 by 16. And this is where the manual gets a little small. Okay, so one in the end, which is going to be the M8. So we got to put one in this front end. That's going to be the shorter one. Now, when I'm putting these together, I will just try to hand tight them, leave things just snugged up so they hold in place, but not so tight that you don't get movement. That just allows you to make sure that everything's going to kind of fit together and give you some wheel room. See, like here, I need to actually move this around a little bit to get it to line up. So if you tighten everything down, or one down, and then you can't get the others in, it sometimes means you have to go back and loosen things up. So I tend to leave them just finger tight and work from there. Now this one seems to be going all the way through, so I'm a little concerned about that. But all right, so on this side we have to attach they're calling the motherboard. Same way, it looks like we're going to put the one in from the end. And this might be where one of these works out nicely. So put that on there. There we go. 3D HP, hey, how you doing? Good to see you here tonight. Again, just tight enough so it holds it in place, but gives me a little wiggle room on this side. And then I just realized I put the wrong one in the end, I think. So, learn by my mistakes. All right, this one here, allegedly. You're probably going to see me taking these out and swapping them with something else later because we read it wrong. That never happens. At least I'm trying to use the manual, right? Okay, that one just in tight enough. This one in just tight enough. See, it seems to me that this one actually needs to go into here, and that's what I'm thinking is I've got it in the wrong holes, and this is going to have to thread into the back one, so I'm going to take this out as well. But Mark Patterson in Northern California, welcome. It's good to see you here. We're trying to get through this laser build and see how it goes. Again, this is a 6-watt laser, so kind of taking a step back from all the high power ones that they've been coming out with these days. Okay, so that actually blocks that one, so never mind. I'm going to see how it performs as a 6-watt when we're used to, you know, our 20, 40, and if you've been following the dial laser news, you've got a few places coming out with 70-watt lasers in the diode realm anyway. So that'll be interesting to see. All right, so yeah, those are M5, M8, and 16. And then 30 goes in there. That's interesting. So, front profile. Maybe we just need to start getting these in together as well. So this is going to lock into there with, all right, this isn't even making sense. M5 by 16, M5 by 30. Okay, so these, now I see where I got wrong. Grabbed the wrong ones. So maybe the bags didn't quite help me because they had 3 different sizes in this one bag. All right, so on the side we need a 16 here. We'll get there. I'm getting it figured out. Hey Joel, good to see you. What's my opinion on the module size given the power? Well, this module is tiny as a 6-watt. So it'll be interesting to see I got to see, maybe I can grab, I have a 10 watt and maybe a 20 watt out here that I can put next to. Actually, what I have, here's a Sculpt Fun. This is a 5 watt. So, you know, the modules themselves are fairly close in size. But it's a little shorter. It doesn't have as much shroud. And of course, this one doesn't have an air assist on it. But all other things considered, they're fairly similar in size for the main body of it. Sculpt Fun has maybe a bigger fan sitting on top. I can't quite see the fan for this one, but all right, let's get these sorted in the right order so that we're not having screws run into each other. We can actually get this assembled. So, hey Mark, how's it doing? All right, the 30, this one goes in the side, goes all the way through here and into the end. Getting this frame setup is always kind of the initial part. Some of the newer ones I've put together actually have a lot of this done. You know, they're shipping them in bigger boxes, pre-built, which is nice because one thing you do have to be concerned about is making sure this all gets assembled square. So generally they're going to try to self-align and self-jig, but you can run into some problems with some twisting or whatnot, and that's where I like to leave them a little bit loose, make sure that nothing's cross-threading or binding. If it's all moving in smoothly, it should, in theory, go together pretty well and square up pretty decently on its own. But not a bad idea to, if you have a decent quality carpenter square, just to kind of check your corners to make sure they are getting together in the right orientation and not kind of off at an angle. All right, so bear with me as I get the right screws in the right spot. And then we'll get on to the next step. So we're only on step 2. I feel like I've already burned up a lot of my 25 minutes, they say. But part of my fault for not quite checking the size of these screws as I'm going through them. But moving along. All right. Trying to get that lined up. Once again, you don't want it to cross thread, ruin things there. It's nice going in nice and smooth, and we'll just leave those finger tight for now. But now we got the front 2 feet on with the control box, the foot. It's a little bit of flexibility here. That'll help us on the back side. But looks like now we've got to assemble the X-axis components. So this is where we have our stepper motor and our coupler rod. So you've got the 2 screws on here, and this is something that can often get messed up with your lasers if you're running into problems with your objects not coming out square, or you're getting wobbles in your engravings and such, is you want to double check that these are tightened down, because that can make your gantry not move. If these aren't tight, you'll have some lag behind it because it'll start slipping. So this is an important step to watch with as you build or check if you're having trouble down the road. So all right, so let's look at this. We got to connect the motor to they call it the optical axis using the coupling. So there is a flat spot on the stepper motor here. You do want to see if there is any flat spot in here. Sometimes they'll have a set screw that actually goes into that. I don't see one on here, so we should just be able to push this on and then we would tighten it down. It does kind of rest up right by the pulley on here, which may be good or bad, but I'm going to snug this up just so it kind of stays in place for now, and then we'll go back when we're getting everything aligned, make sure it's tight. But that's on there, and now we need to, actually I need to move this out of the way a little bit. Looks like we need to thread that through from this side. This is where the stepper motor is going to mount onto. This tape out of the way. It's going to bolt onto these 4 holes here. That whole rod's going to go through here, and then it's going to rest in this bearing on the other side. So Go ahead and do that, and I'm going to orient this with the wires up. So drop that down in there, and then this looks like it fits in there. So I'm assuming next step is to tighten up the motor, and they want us to use some M3x6 screws. And that's hopefully step 2 something. You know, it's nice when they label them, but when they have way too many in one pack, that kind of defeats the purpose here. So, all right. I'm going to go with it. There's those, because the others are, this is just a flat surface to mount them in. All right. And then let's make sure we've got the right wrench. You reviewed a lot of 5-watt diodes, and they work great for, yeah, that's 3D HP. That's true. These are really nice for engraving photos and such. And if you're not doing a lot of cutting or any thick material, a 5-watt laser will actually get you some very nice, high quality engravings. Come on. Make sure these are the right screws. Yep. Okay. So they definitely do have their place, but if you're going to be doing a lot of cutting of thicker material, you know, anything like 3mm basswood, plywood, things like that, that's where probably one of these is going to start to struggle for you. All right, we're going to make sure this is actually going to fit properly, because I feel like there's a, there we go. There's a recess it wasn't quite going into. Right. So again, with these, just kind of get it started, but not so tight that you can't adjust the others. It's a common theme. Just keeps you from struggling or cross-threading things when they're not quite fitting right. So one of the first ones where I've actually had to install one of the stepper motors. A lot of times they have those included, but I'm guessing for this one it was a shipping issue perhaps. It would have made the box just a little bit wider. So now these I'm going to go ahead and tighten down, because as we get this all set up, it's going to be hard to get some of these in. There's nothing else that really needs to align with these, but those are all tightened. Now we have our bar on there with our stepper. So that is looking good. And assemble the wire bracket, which they show being on maybe here. So we have this piece. Looks like it needs to go on the outside. Oh, okay. So we've got a couple holes here. You just got to mount this onto there using 2 more of the same screws. So we'll go with that. Samuel, your 2 trees 5-watt laser stopped working. You say I had to buy another one? Well, that's too bad. Hopefully it you got a lot of use out of the other one. But it can happen. All right, those are not the right ones. Let's see these. All right, so that is a very tight fit on there. I actually feel like I'm threading this into it. I can't tell if this is like, it's not plastic. It feels like maybe a cast aluminum kind of thing, but I'm not too keen on this. I feel like it just doesn't quite feel right. So it looks like these do need to come in from the back side. So we're going to bolt through. Let's see here. You'll flip this over. So we're going to run the bolts through this way and into this, but I'm trying to make sure they're going to thread in first. So might be the coating on here is just gumming up the threads a little bit. So just going to try to thread these. This is most likely, it's going to be a wire loom that most likely you zip tie the stuff to. So 3D HP, you're printing a big Betty Boop. Well, that'll be interesting. I'll have to check that out if you're going to be doing some videos with it, or oops, got this backwards. I'm going to flip this around. So anybody watching this that hasn't checked out 3D HP, does a lot of 3D printing, and recently did, I believe it was a big alien? Like bigger than life size, or at least taller than most average people. So pretty cool thing. Maybe go check him out and what he's been doing with that. Uh-oh. Clack Shack's here. I better be on my best behavior now. He'll call me out. Yeah, Clack, we're putting together the Acmer P1S Pro 6-watt laser here. It's got a few smaller fiddly bits here. I'm putting on a wire, what do they call this? A wire bracket on the side. I had to install the stepper motor as well. But we're getting there, getting close. So, all right, we got that on, and now it looks like we need to add on the slider for our laser module. So they line up with these and have our countersunk head screws on them. Here again, finding the right wrench for each one of these, and just kind of start one so you have some wiggle room for the others, and then tighten them down when you're all done. But yeah, Clack's been he's been traveling for a conference this week. He's got one more day of it, I think. So good to see you, even if you're a little late. I won't hold it against you this time. But yeah, if you don't have a set of these kind of straight Allen wrenches, Allen drivers, definitely pick some up. I've got some linked in my Amazon store. There's a few different kinds. These are Weehaw. They're really nice, but you definitely don't have to get this brand. There's a couple others I've used, but makes installing things like that very easy. So, all right, so now we got to install this onto the frame. So, I'm gonna want to get it oriented right. Line one set of wheels up, the other, and let that glide on. Now, this is a good time whenever I'm assembling one of these. I try to check these wheels, and what I'm looking for is I want them to just start grabbing, but not push down. So you don't want them to be real freewheeling. So like on this side, this one's freewheeling, and on this side, this one's freewheeling. We've got those eccentric nuts on the bottom sides. So I'm going to go ahead and flip this over. And what you can do is you can rotate these, and that moves that nut up and down as you do that. And so you just kind of want to find the one that's got a little bit of slop into it, and then just as you move it one way or the other, you're going to feel these tighten up as it pulls that whole piece kind of down or away. So just kind of do that. Like I say, do a little bit at a time, check your wheels. See, now it's grabbing probably a little bit more, so I just want to back it off just a little bit. You want it till it just grabs that extrusion, but it's not really pushing into it too hard. So if it's pushing in too hard, you're going to prematurely wear them, and then you're going to start having other issues with your laser. So here again on this side, we've got a little, it spins freely, so we're going to tighten this down until it grabs. See, like just there, it's just starting to grab, so I'll bring it just so it grabs, but almost slips. So a lot of times you only have one of these to adjust on because you'll have like a triangle set. These have 4, top and bottom. So you want to check them all, and then you actually want to check this axis as well. This is a good time to do it while you got your laser still partially apart and not it's not as hard to get at everything. So oh, that's a little too much. Back it off. There we go. And that one might be, see if I can maybe even loosen that one up a bit. Oh, there we go. Just so they're slipping. But Yeah, Clack came to learn. Well, we do learn a lot from each other. And I appreciate you know I appreciate Clack as someone I can bounce ideas off of and get inspiration from as well. So if you're here on my channel, you haven't seen him, definitely go check out his channel, and give him a follow, give him a like, and you'll hopefully learn something from both of us. But all right, now we need to attach the rear frame, I believe. So need to have our feet pieces, one on each side, and this is technically step, I don't know, we're on step 3 maybe. All right, we got the long ones, short ones, medium ones. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and flip this back over just so orientation is better for me. All right, so let's start with the short one in the end. Again, I'm keeping these just kind of finger tight, but the key there is to remember to go back and tighten them all up, because things will work loose if you don't have them snug. But it's also just aluminum. You don't want to go heavy-handed with this stuff and strip out your threads. Yeah, I'm seeing that. It's this is pretty low. Again, though, this is probably mostly an engraving device. So hopefully you're using thinner materials, but we'll see. I'll get this all together and maybe have time to run a test. Oop, wrong size. All right. And this piece will pop in here. So not too difficult to build. It's just they have like 3 different lengths of screws for these kind of corner pieces and feet. So you got to get them in the right order. The 30 millimeter one goes in kind of this joint because it comes all the way through the foot, through this leg, and into this beam, but it can't hit this screw. This has a shorter screw. It doesn't interfere with that. Once you get those all straight, it seems to go together pretty smoothly here. So Clack, you missed the early weather report. We were up here earlier. It was up in the 50s today. It's going to get a little chilly, but Monday it might be 60s up here. So my gamble with not getting my mini split for this winter, I guess I lucked out, because this could have been a real miserable winter out here without that, but it's been pretty mild. Norbert, how you doing? How sturdy or rigid is that carriage? Well, we'll see here in a bit once we get it all together. See how much flex we might have. That's with a lot of these 20 by 21s. They are definitely more prone to having some twist, and so part of that is you want to make sure you have a nice flat surface on, because otherwise you could definitely have. So yeah, here I can lift it up a little bit, but it is lifting that front corner, so it's not as necessarily flexible as some of the others I've seen, but definitely that's another thing that can kind of skew your frame and then cause you some issues when cutting and engraving. So at this point, I am going to go ahead and just go back and tighten all these up now that we have all the frame pieces together. Otherwise, I am prone to possibly forget it. And I think I also need to put this one in here that I missed in step 1.5 or so. You're going to have warm weather out there in Pennsylvania, Sam, on Monday? Yeah. Yeah, we did get some snow last week. We got some bitter cold in January. I'm okay with that. I need season changes. I don't think I could live where I never see snow, or the leaves never come off the trees. I'm born and raised in Minnesota, so I'm kind of used to this. I would be like a fish out of water if I didn't have seasonal changes. So, all right. So we got the frame down. We've tightened down all of those. Double checked our wheels feel tight. Now we need to assemble the belts. So we're going to go ahead and flip this back over. Being careful not to rest it on anything too critical. There we go. Try to get that more in the middle, maybe. All right, so we need to come under the wheels. Let me see if I can rotate this a little bit. You need to come under the wheels, up and over the pulley, back down, and looks like we have a slot here to come back out, and then they have their little keeper things that we can put in to pinch down on the cables. So it looks like we will be able to kind of snug it up by this end. So not terrible. The trick is to get your belt under and then back up. So I'm just using one of my Allen wrenches here to kind of push it back up when it comes through. Feed that through, loop that down, and then try to fish it back through the other side. Now I'm not going to tighten this down yet because we want to make sure the gantry is square when we do that. So I'm going to get the belts through on each side before I go to install these and tighten them down. So, but that wasn't too bad. I've had a worse time getting these belts fed through some of the Blazers. All right. You wish you had snow in Vegas, huh? Well, I don't know how much Vegas would like that. If it was too much, could shut that place down for a little bit. But yeah, I haven't been to Vegas, but I've been to central and northern Arizona quite a bit. My dad moved down there. Kind of when I went into college, he was done with the Minnesota snow, and so I've been down there to visit him a few times, and I do love visiting there. But like I say, I'm a Minnesota boy. So all right, so now to make sure that this is square, we want to move it to one end or the other. I'm going to try to move it to that end, which will allow me to work on this side. And so, don't want to move it. That stepper motor so fast. So there we go. That's resting up against those ends. That's on the limit switch. Of course, that's pushing it away from the other. I don't know that we have a good reference point to do this, but so let's try seeing how far we can get this to the other side. Again, it's good to take your time on this one. There we go. We can kind of rest that on this end, so we'll do that. We'll rest it on the back end. You want to take your time, try to make sure this is square when you tighten these down, otherwise you're gonna be fighting it. But so these just go into the slot, twist, and then the screw pushes down onto the belt. Is how you secure these. So, hey, North Alabama, good to see you here as well. Weather here is perfect year-round, hot in summer, dry heat, not much humidity. Well, yeah, I'll give you that. You don't have a lot of humidity there, and it's generally dry. But I haven't actually been to Vegas yet. Haven't had a reason to, but maybe one of these years. So, all right, I'm going to snug this down. I'm putting a little pressure on it. You want it tight, but not so much that it's going to bind these up, but you don't want them to be able to slip either. So you kind of get a feel for it after you work with some of these machines. I've found that some lasers want their belts really super tight, almost tighter than I feel comfortable with, but you'll see as you start testing them, and when you start getting oblong circles, or your squares don't meet at the ends, or your engravings are coming out a little wavy. you can kind of start seeing that you might have a belt alignment issue. Why is this one being a little bit of a pain? I sometimes have to get these twisted just a little bit to start, and then they grab. So just pushing down on it, trying to get it into the channel. There we go. Do that. Make sure this is held back. Put some tension on our belt and tighten that down. There we go. So now when we flip this over, these should run together. And if you can, this is also a good time while this is square to make sure that these two are tight. And I think I can get at them. So I'm going to go ahead and do that as well. Just want to check both ends, just make sure they aren't going to slip on the stepper or on the rod. That's another problem area. So, all right, we will flip this over and just kind of move this gently, make sure it moves smoothly. Sometimes you'll feel it kind of jump, and then you want to check alignment of everything, check your wheels again. As a matter of fact, that one is feeling a little loose, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten up the eccentric nut a little bit more on that. Like I say, just want it to where it'll just grab the rail. Any tighter, and you can introduce some divots into your wheel. So there. I have it where it's touching, but it'll slip just a little bit with some pressure. So that's kind of where I try to get mine. Otherwise, like I say, you might run some wear and tear on that. But that feels nice and smooth that way. This feels fairly smooth that way. So that's all looking pretty good. So we're almost there. All right. And I went ahead and did some steps without reading. I want us to put the laser module on. So this has got your typical kind of channel joint here. It's kind of a reverse dovetail on this one, so it actually goes in here. But this will slide down along that rail. You have this kind of side screw here, and this will let you lock in the laser module. Again, it has this small little focus tool to where you'd set that on there, and that's where it would be focused on the surface. It does look like they have 3 different positions here, so you could move it up higher, but again, we've got this bar down here that's kind of low, but it is sitting, you know, a good 1.25 inches above the bottom of the shroud, so I don't think it's going to get in the way anyhow. So I believe at this point we just need to secure the wires. So let's see. We've got this is, of course, zip tied together. I think I have, there we go, side cutter. Another good tool with these is just a small side cutter to be able to clip these wires, because sometimes you need to service your machine that already has them on here, or they come shipped like this. Be careful not to cut the wrong wires. But typical wire loom around it. Typical plugs. They are labeled. This one says, you know, Y. Looks like the limit switch X and Y. And then on the ends, this one says laser and X. So, you know, it's nice when they add some labeling, a little less guesswork. Sometimes they color code them and whatnot, but we want to just make sure we're getting the right ends into the right plugs. So we're going to go ahead now. Here's our, all right, we got one limit switch up top. So we got one on the side. We got the stepper motor. So I'm going to start at the stepper motor, plug that in. There we go. And let's see here. We got our Y one, so that's going to go on this side rail here. It's always good to not push on the wires, but push on the plug if you can. In any of these cases, that helps your wires not get bent so much. So I'm guessing we're going to be able to use this wire bracket here, but I'm trying to see how well that's going to work. We might have to, I don't know. It feels like it's making these others tight, so let's get these others run up here, and then we'll see what we can do about cable management. They are a little, you know, you might want to work some of these bends out a little bit. it doesn't feel like this is the stiffest wire out there, which is nice. Some of these lasers I've had, it feels like they're just using like straight wire instead of stranded or something, and it's so stiff and doesn't want to bend, but this seems okay. This actually has some extra kind of that cable hosing. It's that ribbed plastic, almost looks like tile for a farm field if it was a, you know, a mouse's farm field. But so they add some extra protection on that wire. So this one's going to go into the laser. And here again, they have it inside this kind of aluminum shroud here. So got to get in there. And then this one coming over to the other stepper. All right, so we've got all that hooked up, and now we got to work on cable management. They do have a bracket here as well, so it looks like we'd be able to secure our cable to that somehow. This may take a little. Let's see if they have anything in their diagrams. This is where the small pictures are not helping me. Cable management. I love when they do it right. I hate when they kind of cheap out on it. This is not the worst, but it's got some concerns. I got to figure out how we're going to mount some of this. So it looks like maybe we're going to be able to use this plastic piece to clamp this down here. That'll give a little bit of strain relief on here, although I'd love to see this mounted more as well, because anytime it's going to end up pulling on these cables, you're going to have some risk. But yeah, how are we doing? I need to get a quick drink of water. What's the under over for Acer? Here people are having problems with customer service and they are a flash in the pan company. I don't know what's up with them. I haven't heard from them as far as any video stuff, and I haven't had to contact them for anything in a while, so I don't have any really good insight in there, and I feel bad that people are having some trouble getting a hold of them for support issues. But that's where hopefully the community, channels like mine, can at least help out with a little bit of troubleshooting. And, you know, David and I like to do our Sunday Night Live where we answer questions and try to help people out. But when it's parts they need, you know, in some cases I've been able to help people find belts to replace them. But, you know, that is kind of the gamble in a lot of this stuff, is making sure you've got good support. But yeah, I don't have any good information on that one. Let's see here. So yeah, they show zip tying on this side. They show zip tying this cable to this kind of bracket over here. And turn that so you can kind of see it. So they have this bracket that we installed. This fits in really nicely. And this is where I do like that they're using this kind of harder cable that you can zip tie around it and it's not going to pinch down on the wires. That's kind of a nice little detail they're adding here. I just got to figure out what they're doing with it on this end. I would assume they're doing something similar, but I can't really, I don't know that I want to run the wires down, and up would also be kind of a weird thing. So let me see if they have a better picture in here. Oh, that's where some of this here's this mysterious piece of plastic. They also have where you want to put that in. So it looks like this wire for the stepper motor is supposed to get tucked into this channel, like so. And then this is supposed to clip in over the top of it, maybe. Yeah, we should be able to push that in there. So there's a little nice little added cable management, keeps it out of the way. Give us a little cable strain here, make sure that that's good on each side. There we go. So now we just need to figure out that top one, which they don't, it's the one picture they're not really showing. So I kind of have half a mind to use this top part and clamp it on this way to where it's resting with the wire forward. It'll keep this back, we should have plenty of movement either way. But so that's what I'm going to do. There's zip ties. We can always take them out and redo it if it doesn't work. So. Snug that up. So there. That hopefully will work for that one. And then over here we'll try to anchor this one into that piece on the side. So I'll give them points for a little more effort on the cable management than I've seen in some. There we go. So trim these off. And I could probably cut those a little bit shorter, but we'll leave them for now. But as far as I can tell, that is the build. So let's see, how far are we into this? We are back over here. Yeah, well, I don't know if that was 25 minutes, but we do kind of have it set up and installed. So yeah, not too bad of a build. I think it's, you know, they had some nice features in there. A little bit extra with having to add that stepper motor and such, but not impossible. A couple areas where I think the manual could maybe just have a little bit better picture. But anyway, so we've got it built. Now I suppose I can try to get it into an enclosure and see if we can give it a test. We've got a little extra time yet, so why don't we do that? I actually have the Great Carve acrylic enclosure that it should fit into, so we'll do that. And just got to make sure I've got a can stretch the USB cable over here because I've got it back there on my bench. So let me start working on that. We'll see if we can see how light burn detects it, and maybe we'll be able to run a test burn real quick. So we'll switch back over there. All right. Now it's the cleaning up of all the bits before I move forward. But I want to thank everybody for stopping by tonight and hanging out. It's always good to have people supporting our various channels and such, and makes it nice that I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. So I'm going to move this off of here. And so again, on this control board, there's a little Wi-Fi antenna here with the power switch on the one side, and then we got the cables over here. Kind of wish those were flipped because, you know, I'm going to end up running the cables out this way, but we do have our power and USB compact or our micro SD card and such, and then it looks like a micro HDMI. I don't know if they have an offline controller plan for this or not, but again, it'd be nice if these are just kind of flipped back and forth so that the wires came out here, but I do like that they're not sticking out up top, so definitely points for that. So let's see if their cable will fit. Dave, it's not new. They've been around. I checked, they sent their 10-watt laser probably about a year ago now. And it was both David and I checked out, Clack Shack and I, and it's just pretty hot 10-watt. And then they have their P2, which was a 33-watt diode that came out maybe late summer, early fall. So they have been around a little bit. This is the third machine of theirs I've been able to check out. So let's see if I have I think I have a longer cable out here. So not brand new, and yeah, they've done a few different lasers. So nice to see them continuing. You know, that's usually a sign of a slightly healthy company anyway. So all right, so we got that in there. Now we got to get the power, and then I'll see if our computer recognizes it. Yeah, David over at the Clock Shack, he's tested out a couple of them as well. So if you're curious about Acmer, um, check out. I've got a link down below in the description of this video to their website for this laser. But both David and I have a few videos using their 10 and 30 watt machines. I still have the others. Um, well, I still have the 30 watt. Um, Found someone else that was going to try out the 10 watt for a while, so it's kind of on loan to them for a bit. But we have a few videos on their machines, and so far I've been pretty happy with them. So, all right, power. Oh, yep. Well, powered up. Now I'm going to really quickly see if my computer detected it. All right, let's see what Lightburn says. If it can see a laser, because this would be the only one attached to it. All right. No, I don't need to update yet. Suppose I can show you what I'm doing here. Let's see if I got this set up right. There we go. We're scanning for connected devices. I'm not sure the USB cable I'm using is good. Yeah. It's a little longer one, but it might not be the right. So let's double check this. All right. Okay, I heard the ding. My computer did see something. Let's go back. And first off, I'm just going to jump into my device manager and see that it's seen a COM port. All right, so device manager, COM ports. It is seeing a USB serial on COM13, so that should be good. So here's another thing that I've noticed. If you're adding another laser and you have it defaulted to a COM port, change this to choose out here first, then hit your devices, hit find my laser, because otherwise it seems like it maybe only looks on that specific COM port. We'll see if it pops up again. And yes, I'm still running 1.4. I haven't updated out here yet. Woodworker Gene, hey, how's it going? Good to see you here. Still didn't find it. Well, all right, interesting. Maybe we got to manually add this. Let me just double check. There I go again, reading the manual. All right, let's see if we can manually add this. No. I get click happy. So Klein's still enjoying the 30 watt in his shop, huh? Clack. All right, we will create manually. I'm going to go to GRBL, serial USB, and Acmer P1S Pro, and oh shoot, inches. I should have had this in millimeter because it'd be easier to follow their setup. Da, 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 da. Create manually, GRBL, P1 Pro. All right. Who's good with their math conversions here? Let's see. This is a 380 by 370. So we need it to be 14.96 by 14.96 14.56, and front left origin, which is pretty typical. And I usually turn off the auto home on startup. I'd rather home it myself in case something's stuck there. I've got something messed up wrong. So go ahead, finish, okay. Let's jump over here to P1 Pro, COM13, in the console, waiting for connection. So it actually is not seeing it. All right, well, this is likely just my USB cable, so let me switch that around here real quick and see if that's our problem. This is just a longer USB cable that usually works for other lasers, but it's not working on this one. And of course I have this just far enough away from my hub that it makes it a little bit of a stretch. So we'll see if we can move them both enough to make it work. So I'm gonna have to slide this over a little more. There we go. And bum, bum, bum. Still not. You know, I wonder. Sometimes you have to have that card in there for them to work right. So maybe I should power this off and pop the card into the laser, because it's still not seeing it. So let me do that real quick. Power this off. Pop that in there. Turn it back on. No luck. Well, this is the fun part about doing it live. Troubleshooting. Is it plugged in? Yeah, it's plugged in. It's making noise. The computer's beeping at me. Let me just make sure. I unplug it. COM port 13 disappears. Plug it in. COM port 13 reappears. Well, that's kind of weird. Why is so we've got it showing up here. So like if I unplug the USB, the COM port disappears. Plug it back in. There we have it. So computer's recognizing it. The drivers are installed because this is probably about the 20th one I've put on there. Is it showing in device manager? Yeah, that's right there, the CH340. Got on COM13. Let's just go ahead and see if we can have it auto detect again. Scanning. Yeah, I know. So I did manually add it here. We've got it here. So let's do this. Let's turn it into metric. Acmer P1 Pro, GRBL. Should be GRBL. I don't think it's, unless it happens to be, nope, GRBL, serial USB, 380 by 370, front left, auto home off. Yeah, that should be all okay. And if we go here and to COM13, It's just not showing up. Well, this is fun. So I don't know. I'm going to take that card out and take a look and see what's actually on it. So let me power this down and let's take a look at what they actually have on here. See if we can tell something. Woodworker Gene, you got your Lasermatic 30 watt, huh? Suggestions for first time use? Well, I would, if they didn't come with some material, grab some of the cardboard or pick up some inexpensive plywood and just kind of start working through some engravings. Check out either, I know Clack's got some videos on the Lasermatic. I've got them on other lasers, but I do have a material test grid, and that's a good thing to kind of run through on, it's a good thing to run through on any new material, any new laser. So software, drivers, I'm guessing these are, yeah, these are the same ones I've got on there. So, I mean, I can try reinstalling them. I don't think that's going to do anything for me other than possibly crash everything. Have a repeat of our Sunday Night Live where I was having some issues. But yeah, it doesn't want to install that because I already have it in there and it sees it in Device Manager. Okay, just popped up again in Device Manager. Oh, hold on. Looks like it connected finally. Just had to threaten it with software. All right, so let's see. Let's flip back over here and we'll do a home. Make sure it does this. Very cool. So it is working there. Just had to reboot it a couple times. So we've got it set up in Lightburn. I'm going to go ahead and throw the enclosure on it, and then we'll maybe set up a quick test grid for it. So give me just 1 second while I do that. Get all the wires tucked through this access spot so they're not pinched. There we go. It's kind of a big, bulky thing, but it works really nice for things like this. So if you haven't seen my video on this, definitely check that out. A little expensive for an enclosure, but if you want to be able to see everything that's going on with your laser, this is a good way to do it. So I'm just going to hook up the vent hose here so I don't smoke myself out. And then we'll see if we can get this running a test grid. There we go. And just make sure that no, that's going to draw some air. So we're good. All right. I'll save their stuff for later. I've got a scrap piece of Baltic birch here, offcut from my last video. That should be enough room to run our test grid. So let's jump back over into Lightburn and get that set up quick. All right, so we're going to come to our laser tools and material test. And do I have any 5-watt ones set up already? I might not. It's been a while, so I may just have 10 watts. So, all right, 10-watt engrave test. Let's see what we've got set up for here. We got a 500 to 3500 10 to 100. Yeah, that might work. So we're going to see if we can get that to fit on material. And it's saying busy. Did I break it again? Did I disconnect it on accident? All right. See what Lightburn's doing here. How tall is the enclosure? It is 12 inches tall on the outside. As far as hinges, you got a few things that stick down, so really maybe 11 and 3/4 of space in there. And then it's about 24 by 25. So, all right. Oh, Lightburn's being stupid, so let's fix that. Just simply reboot it. And we'll hope that the laser reconnects. All right, let's go here and turn our laser back on, and column 13, and come on. So we're back to this. Well, this isn't boding well. It doesn't like to connect consistently. Baud rate. 15200. That should be what they want it set at. Yeah, that's what they have for the laser GR Braille setup. 15200. Do I have a link to that? I do in my other video for it. But I can probably dig it up really quick. Let's just see, why is it not playing nice? The fun of live streaming. I think it's all going to go smooth, and then it's going to mess with you. Let's make sure that we don't have something a little bit loose here. We'll back this off just a little bit. We'll try this one more time, and if not, maybe I got to do some playing around with this and see what's going on. But we got it built, and we know it does move. We just got to make sure it can stay connected. Doesn't seem like it wants to play nice with me right now, but well, that's kind of just how it goes some days, I guess. So I guess I'm going to have to do a little playing with this and see. My next step would probably be to reboot my computer, but I would lose you all, so I'm not going to do that right now. But we'll do some playing around with it here and see if we can get it up and running. And I'll run some tests and definitely have a video out on this. But like I mentioned, it's a 6-watt diode, so most of my tests are going to be around how well it does with engraving. So I'm going to play around with a variety of materials and see if we can check out its quality and such. But Clack, you want me to check the device manager? All right, we'll do that real quick. Maybe we got a quick fix, and Clack can help yet another person on a live stream, this time being me. But that is a good thing to check to make sure that in device manager it's not showing. Oh, you may be right. All right, let's change the bits per second there. Okay. And we'll see if in light burn, no, it's still, well, let me reboot the laser. There we go. Maybe. We're back up, maybe. Yeah. Okay. The show goes on for a little bit longer. All right, let's see here. We were in laser tools, material test. I was just going to steal this one. So we're going from 500 up to 3,500 millimeters a minute and from 10 to 100% power. Let's see if we can frame this. All right, laser's framing. Let me switch views here so you can kind of see what's going on here. All right, I need to set the focus with the tool that I've almost already lost. Set that down there. All right. So that sits up a fair ways. I mean, it's probably a good inch off the surface there from the shroud. Let me go ahead and frame this again. I don't have the laser turned on for that, but it looks like it's going to work pretty well. We won't be starting any fires here. Actually, speaking of, let me put a piece of metal underneath that. Just in case we blast through here. These Acmer machines have been pretty hot in the past. I don't want to burn my assembly table here. It'd be unfortunate. All right, one more frame. That looks good. We'll close the enclosure, turn our exhaust on, and tell it to start. This is where I wish I had a better view for you all, but it is working. So we'll hop back over here and we'll see how this is going to do. So, all right. Thanks, Clack, for helping me out. All right, so I know there was a couple questions. So the enclosure, let me find that link real quick for you all. It is a kind of a nice enclosure. But like I say, there's a little, might be a little sticker shock for you. Here we go. Yeah, right now it's $279. And I will drop that link in here. But it is built pretty well. It has nice rounded hinges or edges. The hinges are pretty decent quality and everything. So, you know, you're paying for a lot of laser safe acrylic. And they say this is, I believe they told me it's OD6 or higher for in that, and it works well for the 455 nanometer wavelength. So definitely worth it for the amount of laser safe acrylic you get. But yeah, you know, you're gonna spend a little bit of money for it. So give it a slap on the left hand side. Yeah, I remember having to do that quite a few times. Blaming Bill Gates. Well, unfortunately, he hasn't had a lot to do with Windows in a while, so I can blame him, but that's from way back, I guess. Anyway, it is running. I assume it's maybe going to mark. I think the text that it's trying to do right now might be on too low of a setting, but we'll let it run for a little bit and see how it goes, and we'll go from there. But yeah, anybody have any other questions while we let this run? If you haven't watched in a while, you know, Dave and I do our Sunday night live streams where we answer questions and help people with you know, looking at lasers as to what might work for them, different types of lasers, how well they work, talking about new products that are coming out, new projects that we've been working on and such, and just generally try to help people out with maybe some struggles they're having with their laser. So definitely check those out on Sunday nights, and we have fun with that. If you're in the Atlanta area and want to try to maybe meet up with Mr. Clack, he is going to be attending Workbench Con next, well, it'll be the weekend after this, so around the 29th. He's going to try to maybe set up a meetup for a few people, maybe grab dinner or drinks or something. So definitely jump over onto his page or on the Laser Engraver community. I won't be able to make it to that. Kind of bummed because it's going to be a lot of cool people there. Cody from Cadence Manufacturing is going to be there. He was talking with me the other night, wondering if I was going to be there to meet up, but unfortunately I won't. But hopefully he and Dave are going to be able to connect. But I will be coming down to his area again in late April, and we're going to be doing some stuff again. I'm going to try to spend a little more time there. We'll maybe do a couple projects and do our live stream and such. So we will be getting together, and I'll be hitting the road again for a week to travel down his way and spend a little time with my model airplanes as well. But, so, and yeah, we'll see how things progress the rest of the summer. And there is, so a few of you I know met up with me at the Minnesota Woodworkers Expo that was at, it was in Shakopee, Minnesota last year. They are hosting it again, but they're moving it to the Minnesota State Fairgrounds. So I think there's actually going to be even a better building for it. They've invited me back. I told them put me on I really want to come, but I can't quite commit yet. So I got to look at that. That's going to be like October, I want to say October 14th. So, you know, that's definitely a fall thing, but it was fun to meet some people there last year and hang out with them and also introduce a lot of other people to lasers and such. So I might be doing that again, but we'll see. Boy, we are definitely burning some wood now. I wish I had a close-up view. Maybe I can get the camera in closer. Let me see. I'm going to switch over to that, see if I can get you in closer. I think the 500 millimeters a minute was a little slow, but I'm going to bring this down, over and down a little bit maybe. If I can. And it's going to argue with me on a number of things, but I'm going to keep an eye on that because that, no, you know what? I'm actually going to stop that. Because it's going up in power, so I'm going to actually bump this up to, let's do 1500. We'll drop that down to, we'll just, actually we'll jump this up to 5,000, not 50. There we go. Hopefully we can still fit this on here, but I didn't want to run the risk of a fire with that. All right, I'm also going to edit this. We'll make this line, that'll speed that up. And, oops. Speed that up, put that at 50. Go ahead and save that as, and I'm just going to rehome just in case. Yeah, fire, too hot, definitely. I didn't want to risk that burning more than we needed it to, so. All right, let's bring back our material test. We'll reload that file I just saved here. Double check that. Okay. Let's frame. There we go. And, oh, it's out of focus now. Let me fix that real quick, but I'll get this started. Yeah, went probably a little too fast on the text stuff here, but we'll work on that. Anyway, we got it restarted, and I'll jump back there if I can get it refocused better. But yeah, Clack, you have a new. Yeah, Clack was showing me a cool fire extinguisher he saw at his conference he's at that he might be making some brackets for, and it's definitely a good thing to have in your workshop. You know, even if it's just regular woodworking, but definitely when working with, you know, our lasers and even CNC machines, you definitely want to have some active, uh, ready to be used fire suppression stuff. So a good fire extinguisher um, is good to have around. But you know, a lot of times you can have just a little spritz bottle that you can just spray out if you catch it in time. Hopefully you're paying attention to it. That's one nice thing about this enclosure is you're going to see it. You know, there's no solid sides that are blocking your view. So definitely a nice. Uh, it's nice in that realm. Like I say, it's you know a little bit of sticker shock with it, but it works out pretty well for the value of the amount of laser safe acrylic that you're getting. But yeah, I set that a little too fast for the text, but we'll at least get it. Hopefully get a grid here. Let's see how it's looking over there. If I can jump over there. Are you coming in focus? Okay. Yeah, it's just starting the grid, so we'll let that run a bit and see. But anyway, so I've got this laser in the shop. I'll be running some engraved tests over the next few days. Hopefully be able to get a video out on it to really kind of run down its capabilities. So look forward to that. I also, um, I've been kind of starting to piece together how I want to rearrange some things in the shop out here. And I have a 6-inch fan that was hooked up to my CO2 laser, but I so rarely use that anymore. And I'm looking at swapping out that fan for a different one, and then I'm going to branch it off here on my workbench so I can hopefully run 1 or 2 lasers off it. But so I picked up a pipe, you know, a section of pipe that I'm going to need to run there, and having the straight pipe is better than the flexible stuff. But I needed some mounts, so I actually designed those. And as a matter of fact, while this is running, let me see if I can bring these up, and you get a sneak preview of what I was working on here. Here we go. Can you add on to that enclosure for an extended laser bed? You know, I did mention that to them that it would be great to have a little flexibility and be able to maybe double this up. And so they did take the feedback pretty well and said they would keep in touch with me. They also have a lot of cool materials. I don't know if so they have kind of this scratch acrylic where it's one color on bottom and then you engrave it. So this was a cat I did with them, and then they have some laserable leather, like leatherette, that's got the various colors and such. So they do have some things like that, and they do have a kind of a growing community that are using their materials. Their enclosure is kind of new, just come out. It's actually a pre-order right now, but yeah, it definitely is something to look at, and I think a company to keep an eye on. But let me show you what I've been working on the other night in CAD that I'm going to be playing around with. So this is going to be a wall mount pipe bracket. So I've got, you know, mounting holes that hopefully you can hit a stud with those, or if you're screwing into plywood or something firm, you got 3 points there to hold it down. And then I kind of designed this kind of clamp method. So these bottom areas are going to be connected with basically just some bolts and some wing nuts, so that you can open this up and drop your pipe in and then hold it in place. So I'm going to be able to cut this out a 1/4 inch material, glue it together, glue these two together, and then I've got some 1/4 inch foam rubber, because this is, as you see, this is actually 4 1/4 inches. So it's just some of that window sealant stuff that I'm hoping will just compress it a little bit, so that you don't have pipe resting on a wall, resting on your, with your fan, possibly causing extra vibration and noise. So that's something I'm going to be testing around, playing around with, and as I get that set up, I'll try to get, a video out on that work as well, of kind of piping in for the laser and mounting probably a new exhaust fan as well. Uh, I know I need to also finish my kind of version of EnclosureZilla. I've been talking with Dave a little bit about that, but I still need to kind of work out where things are going to fit in here, because once I get that assembled and put on a bench, it's pretty much going to stay there until I, change it out for something. But so there's a few of the things that are going to be going on in my shop. Oh, let me flip back over this. It's still burning a little hot there, but it's not on fire yet, so I'll let it run. It's moving up in speed at this point, so we'll be getting a grid going on that one. So yeah, Brad, MVA. I've cut a lot of EVA foam, but this was just kind of that stick-on, real squishy insulation stuff. It was a big roll of it I picked up at the big box store or Amazon for not too much, and so that'll go on pretty well. And yeah, North Alabama, yeah, it looks like a handcuff. It has a little resemblance to that, but had to play around with that so that I could be able to drop the pipe in, have it secured, and I figured, I could have bought some brackets like these, but why not use the tools and some of the scrap material I have to make something kind of a little more unique and cool and fitting of a shop that has a lot of work with lasers going on. So that's where that came from as well. So hopefully it works out. Like I said, I'll be playing with that here, hopefully the next few days to the week. Definitely give people some feedback on how that goes, and if they work well, I'll definitely try to get the files out there for people. So still moving along with this grid. It's definitely a hot laser, so I don't know that this was the best range to work with on that material, but as a matter of fact, they have, I probably should have looked at this, they have in their USB drive, they had some parameter settings. So let's take a look at those. I'll bring those up here to where you can see them. All right, so let's see here. What they're saying for basswood, now what I've got in there is Baltic birch. They're saying a 8,000 millimeters a minute and 80% power. Well, I'm definitely slower than that right now. So that would probably be the closest. And they're saying for cutting basswood at 2 millimeters, 300 millimeters a minute, 100% power, one pass. We'll see. I'll be curious to see how well this actually cuts. Like I say, they do tend to have it acts like a hotter head on these lasers, so it may have some better luck. It doesn't have an air assist other than the air that comes down through the cone from the cooling fan on the laser module. But so at least there's some guidelines there, although engraving basswood at 80,000 and 80% power and craft paper at 80,000 and 60% power, that doesn't seem like a lot of difference for a pretty drastic change of material. But as a matter of fact, most of their settings are about the same other than stainless steel. But at least it's something to at least look at and start from. We'll see for sure on that. I'll show you the progress with so the bottom ones definitely were blowing out at the upper range. But here again, it's not necessarily engraving very well. Looks like at 30% at this speed. So we'll see. This is, I never judge anything off the first test or two. I like to run a few to really kind of dial in where it's at, make sure that I'm getting a consistent test, and then kind of start working with material from there. So always fun testing out a new machine and kind of dialing in on your numbers. This is part of the process, and why just grabbing numbers from someone online isn't always necessarily the best way to get there. So anyhow, well, I hope you're all having a good week. Hope you're enjoying this. I've had a busy week at work. I get to go to the dentist tomorrow. Looking forward to that, but part of life. But it's going to be some nice weather here this weekend, so hopefully I'll get some time out here in the shop and get some things done. And like I mentioned, we'll be back at the live stream on Sunday and see how Clack's week went at his conference all week. But we are, we'll see how this next row goes. It seems like it's maybe fading off a little bit. If it starts fading off too quick, we'll just pause the job or stop the job. But anyway, if anyone has any questions or comments, go ahead and fire them off. We got a few more minutes while this runs. But again, I always thank you guys for checking out the videos on the live streams, hitting up with your comments. The support's great. If nothing else, it's gives me the motivation to keep doing it. That I'm not talking to an empty room. So love the community, and as I mentioned, we have our laser engraver community as well, where people have been sharing, and Clack and I and a few others have been trying to keep the people that are spamming and just trying to make a buck off everybody out of there. But been a lot of good projects coming through there, a lot of good questions and comments, so all sorts of fun at that group. It hasn't been too difficult to keep it going and enjoying the community there. So just trying to find a link for you all if I can, because I may have missed it. I don't remember what I put in my description for this one. It was kind of a last, I was having dinner. I'm like, I should build that laser. And I thought, well, might as well go live with it and share it with everybody. So hopefully you're enjoying it. So here's the link to that group. If you want, go ahead and hit a like over there and join the conversation. I'm guessing from seeing most of the familiar faces in here, most of you are already in there and whatnot. So appreciate you guys. But anyway, let's take a look at where this is at. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, maybe there's something funky with this material because it's going from almost not engraving to being really dark. So I might need to grab some other material and check that out, or I might need to double check that focus. I might need to do a ramp test and check the focus on that thing as well. But like I say, all part of it testing a new machine. It's nice that they do have some documentation with it, and I think there may have been someone else that posted a video in the past day or two on this laser, so there might be some other information out there. That I try not to influence myself with viewing other people's reviews before I get a chance to check it, because then I feel like if they said something bad about it, I'm going to go, oh yeah, mine did that too, and maybe it does, and if I find that out, great. But usually I try to run through it myself and before I start looking at other people's impressions as well, just to kind of keep it to my actual feelings and impressions on this one. So anyway, yeah, I definitely think I need to double check focus and other things on there. See, now let's check the manual, just see what they say on that. Oh yeah, they actually show that I'm probably focused way too high, because it sounds like you got to focus it without the shroud on. That is kind of weird. So I guess that comes from reading the manual, but I've always assumed that it's gone off the bottom of the plastic piece. So we will go ahead and stop that one, and we'll check it out. Yeah, that's definitely out of focus. So apparently, hold on, apparently what we need to do is take this little shroud off and actually focus it without that on there, which oddly enough, ooh, that is just barely above that. I don't know about that. I suppose I can leave the shroud off since I have it in this enclosure, but All right, well, let's try something else. So in their settings, they were recommending uh, 8,000 millimeters a minute and 80% power. So what I think I'm going to do is instead of doing a whole grid and us waiting for that, I am going to see if I have something I can import really quick. And we'll just try engraving it at that speed, see how it comes out. Oh, as a matter of fact, oh, I'll pop you over here. I actually have, from one of my past reviews, I have my logo in theirs, so let's go ahead and put that on a fill later. We've got it at 8,000, and they said 80. So we'll go with that, but I'm definitely going to shrink this down a bit because that would take forever. All right, let's see if we can frame this in. I'm going to move that up a little higher. Actually, no, we'll move the material to it. And I bumped the laser, so I'm going to rehome it again. That'll fit. All right. You know what I didn't check? It's all together. Okay. All right, we will try engraving the logos at their recommended speeds. We'll see where that comes out. So, Charles, you're looking for good laser-safe safety glasses that will fit over my regular eyeglasses. So, yeah, it's tough. It depends on the size of your eyeglasses. I do have some. I'll show you them here. These are from Free Mascot, and I don't know. There you go. You can see at the top, it's actually showing the rating there on this side. So these are rated at 190 to 550 and 800 to 1100 nanometer. So it covers both the diode and your IR lasers, and then they have an optical density of 6. So these are a little bit taller and thicker. And for mine, I have a narrower frame like this. They do actually fit over pretty well, and they look about as stylish as laser glasses can that are fitting over your prescription glasses. So these kind of do, depending on your frames. Um, and I could definitely grab a link for you to check those out. I've been using them for a while. They work really well. I've recommended them to others as well. So, but again, it's going to depend on your frames. Mine are a little bit, they're not as square. They're a little more rectangular, so they still fit over them. But definitely something that works out well and is good to have. There we go. Hopefully that's in there. Um, there are some. I've seen some that are like ski goggle type. I haven't tried them out myself, and I think they would be a bit uncomfortable, but they would definitely fit over glasses more, and they wouldn't have any chance for side leak of air or laser light around the sides. But definitely something worth investing in. A good set of goggles, like I say, the ones that came with this laser, they're just this red acrylic, which they do cut down on the laser light, and they're going to absorb some of it, but you're it's your set of eyes, and so I'd rather have something that's been tested and rated rather than something that is theoretically going to work. So, but yeah, now definitely check those out. They have a few different styles and that might work better or worse depending on your head and such. The 5 worked pretty well for me over my eyeglasses. They have a new one, 1B, that I haven't checked out before as well. That might work. They're maybe a little more rounded, but yeah, definitely find some good ones that'll work for you, especially if you can put them over your prescription glasses. So, right. All right, so let me see if I can, I don't know if you can see that, but we are getting the logo. It might be a little light, so that 8,080% might not quite be where we want it, but at least it's coming in focus now. So again, don't assume, read the manual. It's, where was that? It's right here. You can see where they have it focusing on the bottom of the module, but without the plastic shroud. So um, I kind of thought that looked a little high at first, but we're getting there. We're getting through that one. We'll get this test done and have fun. Yuri, hello. Thanks for hopping in and joining in. We're checking out the Acmer P1S Pro. It's a 6-watt laser. Just got it assembled and running a couple of quick tests on it. I'm going to see how a more entry-level laser works in these day and age. Like I said, there's a link down below to this one. I believe they've got it at $219. I should probably see if they have it on Amazon. I don't know if they have it there because I know a lot of people. It's easier. They feel better about it, and I know Acmer has sold their stuff on there. P1S Pro. And searching for it auto-corrected to Acer, and it brought up a bunch of Okay, Amazon, stop auto-correcting. Not helpful. Yeah, I don't know if they have it on Amazon yet. They do have a lot of their other lasers on there, and both Clack and I have been pretty happy with Acmer lasers as far as their performance. So I feel, and they've been still coming out with stuff. You know, again, I haven't had to contact their support or anything recently, but my contact with them has been talking to me about this one. They originally reached out to me, I think maybe around Thanksgiving or sometime in November about this one. Said it was going to launch around the first of the year, and it came mid-January, and I'm just kind of getting to it now. But James, do I have any recommendations and settings to start out with Leatherette D1 Pro 20 watt? Let me see if I have any of my past settings on that. I don't. It's been a while since I've played with that, but yeah, it definitely depends on the color that you're working with. I found that some of them, like the ones like the blue with the silver, it's really easy to blast through that silver and get black. And so I definitely had to do some playing with that. Oh, looks like the job finished. So let me grab that really quick. All right, so it's a little light, but it looks like we are much more in focus now, and things are looking pretty crisp. Other than probably needs a little more power on that, and you're seeing a few areas where the grain's interacting with it, but we know it's working, and I'm not seeing any weird abnormalities. So hopefully mechanically I have it set up well. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this exhaust fan off. There we go. But yeah, so machine got built, and we got the first test burn on it. Now I'm gonna double check my focus on it, and then I'll have to start all my material tests on it, and then we'll see what we can get out of some detail on some different material and such. But so fun stuff. James, I will take a look at some of my stuff. If you actually want to reach out to me, maybe either on my Facebook page or you can try sending me an email as well. It should be in the contact group for this. Um, I will see if I can dig out my settings for you and give you at least a starting point for that. I think I have them maybe in my. I was doing that in my basement workshop when I was doing a lot of the stuff. So I'll double check that computer to see if I have the files and settings on there because um, I was doing it with a few different lasers, but I should have something for you in that 20 watt range to get started. So anyway, been going almost 2 hours here, and got a good engrave out of it, so I'll probably wrap it up real quick unless people have any last minute questions. But again, thanks for hanging out with me as I assembled this laser and testing it out, even through a little bit of folly of not reading the directions and having a little bit of trouble on the initial connection. I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to connect this to another computer and see if I have the same issue. Just so if it's common, it's something I can point out to people and say, hey, if you're having trouble connecting, check these things. But thanks to Clack for reminding me to check the baud rate in both Lightburn as well as in Device Manager. You know, sometimes when you're in the middle of this, you start forgetting a few things and trying to make sure I'm talking to everybody out here, but also troubleshooting in my mind what could be going on. So it's just some of the fun of doing this while it's live. But anyway, yeah, I think I'm going to wrap this up here, but it was fun hopping on here doing this with y'all, and hope you enjoyed it. And like I say, hit that like button. Thanks for subscribing. Check out the Clack Shack and some of the others that have been in here, and be sure to catch us on Sunday night for our next live stream. And otherwise, we'll have more videos coming out soon, and we'll be on the Facebook area. So we'll see you all. I hope you have a great rest of your week. And yeah, I'm signing off. Later.